All right, ladies and gentlemen, this screencast here is for those of you that missed our full remote Zoom sessions for Thursday. So a lot of this is going to be notes that you'll take, but a good majority of this is also going to be looking up resources on my Canvas page and then using those resources to answer some of the questions that are posted here. And then if you get your notes packet out, pause the video until you have your notes packet out. That way you can take the notes as we go along. All right. As you're doing that, in fact, if you want to get your notes packets out now, the thing I wanted to ask you in terms of our understanding of war and how the governments play roles in how war operates and how war changes the country moving forward. We have to think about the U.S. government's responsibility to uphold rights for citizens in times of war, while also keeping the people safe. Because this debate of safety versus rights, security versus liberty, this is something that has been conflicted throughout American history. The people have argued and have been extremely vigilant about what is more important in our country at certain times. Is it security? Is it protecting the people? Is it making sure they are safe? Or is it the security, not the security, is it the rights and the liberties of the people? And at different times, we have different arguments, and people will take one argument on one event when this can be argued, and then the same people will go and turn around and say, oh, you know what, it's the opposite for something else. And so we have these things, but we look at war. While winning a war is of the utmost importance to our government, the rights of the American people should never be violated as a sacrifice for winning that war. All right? Think about this on your own. Obviously, we won't really discuss a whole lot of this. We did this on Thursday, but think about whether or not you believe this statement is true, and then maybe think of what the reality is today. What is more important to our government in certain situations, especially when it comes to war? Look at our war on terror today. All right, or at least maybe that happened a year or two ago. Our war against terror. Are the American people okay with letting the government violate individual rights just to keep people safe? It's a legitimate question. So think about where you stand on this. What is more important, and also where do you think the government goes when you look at these things? All right, so. But think about this question as we move forward, because this is something that we'll talk about down the road, especially hopefully when we return back to class in regards to our possible current events. Because as we talk about COVID, this question can be answered again: is it safety or is it individual rights? And that's something that people have always argued. Okay, so but when we go through and we take a look at some of these notes here, the first thing we'll take a look at, again, this is about the war's end. This is essentially what we're covering here at this point, how this war ends, how the treaty process begins, and what are the goals of each of the victors of this war, the United States, Britain, and France, when they go over to the peace talks that happen in Paris. So let's go and take a look at Wilson's 14 points here, all right? So Wilson's 14 points are essentially his goals for a post-war world. Now you can write this section here on your notes packet that doesn't really have this part here. If you want a hyphen here, like again, after this in your notes, and right, these are his goals. This is what he wants to achieve once this war is over. Ironically, he has these points written before the war is over. He gives a speech in February to joint session of Congress, and he asks the people, ask Congress to listen to some of these points. This is what his goals are for trying to essentially repair the world after the war is over. Okay, so when I've posted to you on Canvas, I've posted several things. First off, I posted 2 versions of these 14 points. The actual verbiage, the actual writing that Wilson put in his speech as to what these points are, and then I actually downloaded a simplified version for you as well. Download both of those, read through both of those, and then also watch the video on the 14 points as well that I've posted. All right, so you can pause the video, stop this, go to Canvas right now, read through those points, go through each of those, and then you can answer these questions on your own. What are his goals before heading off to Europe? And then once you're done reading that, thinking about what we know about Britain and France in this war, with the high casualties sustained by the Allies, Britain and France specifically, what do you think they wanted? If Wilson wants one thing, do you think Britain and France want the exact same thing, or do you think they want something different? Again, to answer these questions, I need you to read the 14 points. Read the simplified version. If you want to skip reading the actual version, read the simplified one. But just look at the real version, because it can show you how difficult it was for real people at that time to really understand what politicians, lawmakers really said. And it's kind of some of the situations that we have today with politicians making and passing laws, not understanding the wording of those. Look at both sides, look at both documents, but also watch the video. Really get a genuine understanding of what Wilson wanted, and then decide for yourself. This is opinion, not only an opinion, but based on what you know about Britain and France, how much they lost during the war. Like for France, how much land they lost, in all these different circumstances of this war. Do you think that they wanted the same thing as Wilson, or did they want something different? All right, tell me what you think they wanted. Okay, so pause the video right now. Go to Canvas, find the information, answer these questions in your notes. All right, I want to move forward here, but pause this video. All right. Next, we have the Paris Peace Conference. All right. There's another video right below the one with the 14 points. All right. There's a video I posted in regards to the big three. All right. What each one of those members wanted. I give you specific, spots in the notes to right here. You have Wilson, who's the President of the United States, David Lloyd George, who is the Prime Minister of Great Britain, and then you also have Georges Clemenceau of France, who's the leader of the French people at this time. So the fact that the United States, Britain, and France are the big three in this war, they're the ones that have, as the victors, they're the ones that they believe have the most right to ask for different things in this treaty, to put different policies, to put different, bylaws in this treaty to ensure that the way the world is built is in their image. So what each members want out of this? And write these notes individually. The video, I will say, the big three, I have it posted on Canvas, it's titled that way. As you watch it, they do go kind of fast. So if you get to Wilson, write it down, and then you might have to go back and listen to it again just to make sure you get everything. David Lloyd George and Clemenceau, they're the same way. All right, so keep that in mind. And they may be out of order based on how the video covers and based on what I give you here. So just listen to the name and write it down, whatever's next to it, okay? Finally, the one thing out of this that Wilson wanted most, and this is the 14th point, if you saw that in your downloaded document there, and this is Wilson wanting a League of Nations, all right, which is an organization in which the nations of the world would join together to ensure security and peace for all of its members. All right, this is one thing that Wilson wants to start and to create, because an organization like this did not exist prior to World War I, and as a result of one assassination, in fact, even a wrong turn by a driver, which led to the assassination, this allowed 20, 30 different countries to go to war with millions of people killed. President Wilson wants to prevent this from happening again. And he believes that a group of countries, an organization where the nations of the world will actually work together to talk, to discuss, to use diplomacy, to prevent future wars. And that's the main goal of the League of Nations, is to ensure that countries can talk, can discuss, can work together to solve the world's problems. That's exactly what Wilson wants to create. Now, the question I have for you is, knowing what we know about the beginning of World War I and what made the war so large, why did the war get to 20 countries when it's only started with 2? Why do you think Americans might not like this League of Nations? What's it creating? What's he, building here? What's his proposal? What's he trying to build as a result of this league? All right. This is as far as we got to today on our Thursday Zoom session. So you have, all the notes you need here today. What we'll get into next week is getting into the results of the treaty, the terms of the treaty, who wins, who loses in this treaty, and what could possibly come as a result of the results of these treaties. So we'll look at those next week, starting on Monday and Tuesday. Please, 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 these full remote sessions are mandatory. So I highly suggest that when you go to the Times, I have the Canvas link set up. If you're not sure where to find those, you have to let me know, all right? You got to email me, let me know. I can email you the link for your Zoom meeting for your class, okay? But you just got to let me know. Okay, this is all we got to today. Answer these questions, fill in the blanks here. Go back if you need to in this video to make sure you have everything you need, and then you'll be ready to go next week. All right, have a great day and enjoy your weekend.